2534 CE, June 24th. Mixed Species Cargo Convoy, currently passing through System 2342 in the Orion Arm. Piracy threat, 23%. List of ships in convoy. Varelian Cargo Freighter, VCCS Eyes of Glory. Basic point defense cannons, convoy head. Varelian Luxury Transport, VLC Starry Skies, unarmed. Karasi Cargo Freighter, KCI, screw taxes. Basic point defense cannons. Irasian Cargo Freighter, ICF, Profit of Profit. Substantial point defense cannons. Terran Cargo Freighter, UNCS, Venus Flytrap. Substantial point defense cannons. Captain James Kamal of the Venus Flight Plant looked out onto the brig of his ship, sipping a cup of sealed coffee as the acceleration of half a G kept him standing on the ground as if he were on a downsized version of Earth, though he had never been to the homeworld himself. Taking a deep, long gulp of the black beverage, the saviour of tired scholars, officers and workers alike throughout human history, he sighed in relief at having the forethought to bring an extra large supply of the caffeine-filled beans onto his ship, along with a state-of-the-art coffee maker. And judging by the dozen crew members of the bridge with their own hot cup beside them, they all appreciated it as well, especially since they were all woken up to deal with a soon-to-be pirate attack. "What's their trajectory?" Captain Kamal says to the officer on his left, watching a three-dimensional hologram of the local system zoomed in to where both the convoy and the incoming fleet of ships are a reasonable size, a line showing the current trajectories of both fleets meeting an intercept. 4 hours away, 2 hours before they got into hypothetical weapons range, depending on what armaments the pirates got, and they're already within our effective range. Any closer, and it'll be near impossible to miss, the navigations officer said, relaying the information to the captain's terminal in front of him. "Incoming tie beam communications from the rest of the fleet, Captain. It seems they're starting to get angsty about the incoming contacts. Should we ignore them again?" The comm officer relays the request to the captain's terminal as well. "Accept them. Visual and audio," Kamal says, while taking the last gulp of his sacred coffee before magnetically locking the cup to the floor and leaning back in his flight seat. The other 4 captains begin showing onto his screen, each one looking increasingly worried or holding back anger at being ignored in such a time when pirates are burning hard towards them and their precious cargo. "Finally! We've been trying to get in contact with you since the pirates showed up on radar 5 hours ago. Where have you been? They're nearly in weapons range by now." The captain of the Starry Sky shouts out to him, loud enough that Kamal and likely every other captain decrease their volume of him by a few percentages. "Sorry we couldn't comfort you and give you a teddy bear to hug, but we've been busy figuring out how to deal with the pirates so you don't have to worry. Just let us deal with them," Kamal states calmly, which only seems to anger the other captains more. "Even your ship's point defense cannons don't seem to be enough. It looks like we're facing..." The Starry Skies captain began to shout before he was interrupted. 3 corvette-sized craft and 2 frigate-sized crafts, yes, I'm well aware. We have this planned out already, so if you don't mind, I'd like to spend the next hour before they demand cargo and we start shooting, to be quiet if you don't mind." "Shooting? What do you mean shooting? We wait for them to send a price and we either pay it or send cargo of its value. Shooting them is only going to make them angrier, and want more if they don't just scrap your ship with a few railgun shots." The captain of the Profit of Profit also begins to shout out, while the other captains look panicked as if the Terran has lost his mind. "Shut up!" Kamal shouts at full volume into his microphone, making the other captains take off their headsets or earbuds for a moment to clear the ring in their ears. Waiting a moment for them to put them back on, Kamal continues, "Let us here handle this, and you can tell us about how reckless or irresponsible we are afterwards. I'm not giving a cent to pirate scum." Captain Kamal looked over to his comms officer, who cuts the link, making the bridge silent once again, except for the occasional sip of coffee. And now we wait for the pirates. 1 hour later, all ships in the fleet get a communication from the pirates. Kamal opens up the link, while making sure the other captains don't open up theirs so they can't screw it up. Taking a sip from a freshly brewed cup of coffee, Kamal once again thanks the gods of Earth for creating the coffee bean millennia ago. Finishing his imagined prayer of sipping the beverage, he looks towards the impatient and ragged-looking alien pirate glaring at him through the screen. "Evening. Or, well, it's evening for us. Your sudden activation of your transponder woke us all up here on the Venus Fire Plant. What seems to be the problem?" "The problem is that you're going through our space without paying the tithe we require. But that can easily be rectified. We require 10% of the cargo from each of your ships, and we can guarantee safe passage, of course. The alien smirked in a way he probably thought was intimidating. Kamal was less than impressed. Sorry, no can do. Company policy states we're not allowed to transfer cargo except to the validated recipient. You're gonna have to call corporate about any... Okay, you're clearly not getting it, so let me rephrase this. We're robbing you. Give us your cargo or we will shoot you. Oh, I see. Well then, that does change things, doesn't it? Kamal looks over to his gunnery officer. Hey, Officer Dale, can you give the man our share of the cargo? I'll be sure to notify the rest of my compatriots to comply. Kamal smiles the fakest smile he has ever had to make, while the pirate captain glares at the baring of teeth. Good, see to it that... The cargo containers stacked row upon row at the Venus flyplant suddenly have their doors flung open, as every second cargo container launches a large tube into space, slowly floating out past the ship, and starting to fall behind as the ship's thrust continues, leaving them behind, until their own engines light up, and the dozen missiles immediately burn hard towards the pirate fleet. You understand? The pirate captain is cut off by red warning lights and klaxons sounding in his ship. Here's some of our cargo heading express delivery right towards you. Do enjoy. Kamal smokes back. You treacherous whelp! Fire back! Scrap them into slag! The pirate shouts out, while cutting communications with the captain. The threat detection board lights up with a half-dozen torpedoes flying straight for the Terran ship. The ship's general quarters alarm blaring as every crew member finds the nearest harness seat and buckles in for evasive maneuvers. 2 railgun shots begin streaming fast towards the Terran ship, signified by a yellow dot moving extremely fast to the radar screen. However, being far outside of their optimal range, the Terran ship's thrusters burn hard upwards, causing the shots to miss by tens of seconds, the hard burn causing everyone to sink into their seats for a moment. Within seconds after cancelling out the momentum for the burn, the point defense cannons on the Terran ship emerge from their hidden mounts and immediately begin pointing towards the incoming torpedoes before lighting up the space between them with bright streaks of 30mm tracer rounds fired at thousands of rounds per second from each gun. With each torpedo from the pirates being eliminated within seconds of getting within maximum range of the PDCs, their primitive targeted computer not able to make evasive maneuvers, unlike the Terran military-grade missiles. The Terran missiles streak towards the pirate ships. Their own PDCs fire, though at much slower rates than with smaller calibers. As the Terran missiles adjust their trajectories wildly to avoid the PDC fire, though still 3 of the missiles were intercepted before they struck home, lighting up the first 2 corvettes into bright balls of plasma as their warheads ignite upon impacting the ship's hull, turning whatever was caught in its blast radius into vapor, while the remaining part of the ship was red-hot slag. 2 more missiles were intercepted by the frigates. However, that wasn't enough to save them either. With the large ships being the biggest threat, they were targeted the most, and both were similarly turned into temporary stars within the dark void of space. The remaining corvette immediately turned around and burned hard away from the fleet, trying to cancel out its momentum and escape. Seems like they're trying to get away. Shame they never surrendered though. Fire 2 more missiles, Kamal says, while grabbing his cup of coffee and taking another unhealthily large swig. As the light thunk of 2 more cargo-contained hatches bursting open and revealing their deadly cargo reverberates through the ship, followed soon by the beep of new contact signatures on the threat display board. The 2 missiles streak towards the remaining corvette as its PDCs attempt to destroy them, barely scraping one before they both impact. The only signal that they hit is the red dot disappearing on the captain and gunner's threat display map, with a strike successful notification from the fire-controlled AI. Well, that was quick. Comms, get me a tight beam to the other captains. I want to see their faces, the captain says with a satisfied grin. He loves seeing the faces of captains who just found out exactly what the Terran's cargo was on their ship. Almost makes it worth being transferred from the Navy battleships to Q-ship patrols. 2534 CE, June 25th. Mixed species cargo convoy, currently passing through system 2342 in the Orion Arm. Piracy threat? 0%. List of ships in convoy. Varelian cargo freighter, VCCS Size of Glory. Basic point defense cannons, convoy head. Varelian luxury transport, VLC Starry Skies, unarmed. Karasi cargo freighter, KCI, screw taxes. Basic point defense cannons. Irasian cargo freighter, ICF, profit to profit. Substantial point defense cannons. Terran Navy anti-piracy Q-ship, disguised cargo freighter, UNCS Venus flytrap. Extreme number of point defense cannons, ship-to-ship missiles, and chaff.